What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video, and welcome to your stimulus package update and daily news report for Friday, October 8th. In today's video, first we got some more changes to the upcoming stimulus package. Want to address what those are and how those could potentially affect you. Some are actually some good changes, so I'm going to address that in a minute. We also have the new jobs report that just came out this morning. This is September's jobs report. If you haven't seen this already, our unemployment rate did go down. It's actually now 4.8%, so that's good, but we got some bad news there. Then I'm going to give you an update on potentially seeing new unemployment benefits, and I'll get into the daily news at the end. So hopefully you're having a great Friday. If you are, go ahead, hit that like button. Number one, I just like to see you're having a great day, and number two, it does help out the video. So let's get into the update for today. First, the September jobs report. I want to touch on this first because the upcoming stimulus package or infrastructure bill could be affected from this. Here's what we know. Our unemployment rose by 194,000 jobs in September. That may sound good, however, it's not. The problem is the expectation was we were going to see 500,000 new jobs added. However, we came woefully short on that. It was a huge miss. Remember, and keep this in mind, the federal unemployment benefits, that's the $300 per week boost, pandemic unemployment assistance, long-term unemployment, those programs ended on September 6th. So this means that we had an entire month to hopefully get those jobs back. Many lawmakers and many experts were predicting that once unemployment benefits expired for the entire country, then and only then we would see all these people come back to work. However, that's not the case here. Let me just break down kind of where we're at. Our new unemployment rate is now at 4.8%, so it did drop. Okay, that's good. Hospitality, we saw hospitality jobs rise by 74,000 jobs. Professional and business services added 60,000 jobs last month. Retail jobs rose by 56,000. Manufacturing increased by 26,000. That is good news there because we are seeing a shortage of certain products as well. But the losses, here are the losses. Let me explain these. The losses came from government education. 144,000 losses from government education, 17,000 from state education, and 19,000 from private education. Healthcare dropped by 18,000 as well. But why? You probably already know this, but I'm just going to address it anyway. Experts predicted this was going to happen when we saw the vaccine mandates. The vaccine mandates are one of the biggest reasons for many people leaving the field of education and healthcare. That's a big issue. So, while jobs are not coming back as quickly as many people were predicting, we are seeing a 7.4 annualized inflation rate. And this comes from a 19-cent per hour increase in wages. Okay? Now, I want to bring this up because right now we're trying to figure out where's the sweet spot. And what's happening is we're seeing less jobs than expected come back. Okay, that's a problem. Lawmakers were wanting to see this new report because then they could determine, are we going to put more unemployment benefits back into the upcoming infrastructure bill, or are we going to hold off, use that money for something else? Well, I'll have more on that in just a second. What I can tell you, here's the problem. We're still seeing inflation, but at the same time we're seeing jobs not coming back as quickly as many people expected. So, in order to see people go back to work, here's what many employment experts are predicting. They're saying that we are seeing this because the unemployed will need to learn new skills. Over the past year and a half, many people have been continued to work, right? They've changed their skill sets. Some have taken, online courses, went to, did online college, or, even went physically to college. But many people expanded their horizons, right? What you need to understand is after so many months of not working, your skills begin to atrophy. It's just like working out. If you're not lifting weights every day, doing push-ups or whatever, right, your muscles begin to atrophy. They get smaller, okay? So after many months of no work, many employers now want somebody that has a recent history of working in that field. It's not just a past history. When you read a resume, right, you're looking at and it's okay, this person did manufacturing. Awesome. Oh, they did manufacturing like 2 years ago. Well, we have new equipment. We have new machines. They probably don't know what we're going to be doing, but yet they want, $25 an hour. Well, that's not going to happen. And so many employers are now looking at these resumes and like, oh, they have the exact requirements we're looking for. The problem is it's like a couple years old, 2 or 3 years old. Chances are they don't know the new systems. That's becoming a big issue. So that is part of what we're seeing right now. Now, let's get into the debt ceiling update and the update on the upcoming stimulus package. Here's what happened yesterday. Yesterday, the Senate, they did vote to pass the debt ceiling increase. It did happen. This will increase the debt ceiling by $480 billion until December 3rd, which will mean chances are the Senate will be right back in the same situation they're in right now, or yesterday. They'll be right back in 8 weeks. Because in 8 weeks, we are going to see the debt ceiling come up for another increase or a suspension. So we'll see what happens there. Now, the vote ended up passing with 11 Republicans voting in favor of increasing the debt ceiling. Now, here's what you need to understand. First, this was to end the debate. So this was 11 Republicans came out. They agreed to end the filibuster, which was pretty much just ending debate. Then after that, there's another vote. It passed 50-48. So all Democrats voted for it. Now, after the vote, and here's where the problems came in. Okay, it wasn't really before the vote. Mitch McConnell, the Senate Minority Leader, he had to get enough Republicans to vote in favor of this. He ended up getting 11. That was it. Here's where things got really dicey. After the vote happened, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, he got on the floor and he said this, and I quote, "I thank my Democratic colleagues for showing unity in solving this Republican-manufactured crisis. Republicans played a dangerous and risky partisan game, and I am glad that their brinksmanship did not work." And that got a lot of Republicans talking. They called this a classless speech. One said that he totally crossed the line and his speech was tone deaf. And even Joe Manchin came out and he said this. Now, and you may see the pictures, but when Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer is talking, you see Joe Manchin's head fall into his hands, like he just couldn't believe what he was hearing. But this is what Joe Manchin said, and I quote, "I'm sure that Chuck's frustrations was built up, but that's not the way to take it out. We just disagree. I'd have done it differently." And now, because of what we're seeing, Democrats calling out Republicans saying that they almost caused this crisis, it was because of them, right? Chances are Republicans are not going to be as nice when it comes to increasing the debt ceiling or anything later on in 8 weeks. However, according to reports, there could be simpler options. So we'll see what happens there. But because of this vote, the House is going to come back from recess 1 week early. So the House is actually going to come back to Washington next Tuesday in order to vote for this. This is at least the report coming from House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer. So we will see this most likely pass this coming week. Hopefully it does, because we have 10 days. We have 10 days before our government defaults on its debts. But now let's get into the infrastructure update. And I want to provide this update to you mainly because we're seeing some big changes, more changes. But these are actually considered possibly good for the American people. Here's what we know. There's been a lot of press about the possibility of an unemployment extension. But the truth is that as of right now, there's a small group of progressives that are pushing for this. They want to see 5 months of an unemployment extension. That would actually be retroactive all the way back to September 6th. However, the truth is that no talks from our Democratic leaders are actually on extending unemployment benefits. Joe Manchin is talking about, not that he's a Democratic leader, but Speaker Pelosi, not talking about it. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, not talking about it. President Biden, not addressing this either. So even though we saw the unemployment rate drop, which is a good thing, but also a lot of people have just completely left the market. They're not even looking for jobs anymore. So even though our rate dropped, the problem is we're not seeing as many jobs go back. So people are still without an income. That's an issue. But even though that's the case, nobody's discussing extending the benefits. And it's just because the jobs report that came out today wasn't exactly what many people expected. Experts don't anticipate this is going to do anything or change the direction of where the upcoming human infrastructure bill talks are going. And the direction has been making this infrastructure bill a little bit smaller and more appealing to moderates. That's the direction that we're seeing. Here's the other big changes. The other big changes that we're seeing right now is that Democrats plan to drop hundreds of billions of dollars in proposed tax hikes. This is actually considered potentially good news. The bad news is if we bring in more revenue than we're spending on this bill, it could potentially bring our deficit down. That would be good news. However, according to reports, that's not what Democrats are looking to do. They are saying that the debt ceiling, it should grow as the country grows. However, that's not the way Republicans see it. But here's what we know. Progressives want to tax the rich, but that does not seem likely now. Many Democrats are actually in support of dropping hundreds of billions of dollars in proposed tax hikes. Here's what we know. The talks have always been around bringing up enough revenue in order to pay for the $3.5 trillion infrastructure bill or stimulus package. Those tax hikes or those tax talks have changed when the money isn't needed in order to pass this bill. If we see a bill for $1.5 to $2 trillion, we don't need $3.5 trillion in revenue in order to fully fund this bill. However, and this is where things get a little bit better for some people. Things like the unrealized capital gains tax could be gone. We could see a smaller corporate tax collected. This would be good for the American people. We could see less money go to the IRS, and taxing retirement savings or overpayments into retirement savings wouldn't happen either. Right now, here's the argument. Right now, a lot of people are saying that the agreement is the corporate tax rate is supposed to be 26.5%. This was going to be the middle ground between 25 and 28%. Joe Manchin wants 25%. President Biden wants 28%, so they went to the middle, 26.5%. Now, this would bring in roughly $540 billion, but this would also cause prices to increase a little bit more. Remember, the current corporate tax rate is 21%. If we see the corporations have to pay more in taxes, well, we go from 21% to 26.5%. Well, who are they going to push that tax onto? Yes, the consumers. That's the expectation as of right now. But here's the change. We could see this go from 26.5% down to 25%. That's what Senator Joe Manchin wants. Okay, this would bring in about $400 billion. Okay, if the bill's let's say $2 billion or $2 trillion, that's going to be 20%. 20% of that bill is already covered because of this, the corporate tax rate increase. So that's actually good news as of right now. So one thing I can tell you is there's a lot of discussions. Do we cut out certain pieces of legislation? Is Medicare going to be fully expanded? Is it going to include vision, dental, and hearing? Will it go from 65 down to 60? Well, that's pretty much out of the question as of right now. We're also seeing that maybe vision, hearing, one of those might be excluded. It's probably going to be hearing because vision and dental are going to be the most important ones to add. But again, that's still up for discussions. We don't know. So as we know more, I promise I'll fill you in on all the latest news and updates. But here's the COVID news for today. Recent studies have found that Pfizer's immunity protection drops quickly after just a few months of getting the second dose. This is something that I brought up before. However, there's more studies on this now. One study found that the vaccine's protection against hospitality still remains at 96%. However, another study found that after just 2 months, the shot's efficacy rate drops, and within 4 months could be as low as 20%. Could be as low as 20%. That's not good. This means many people could be walking around right now thinking they're completely vaccinated, they got an efficacy rate of 90% or more, but yet they're down into the 20s or 30s. That's not good. Research also shows that after the first dose, the protection was negligible. I mentioned this after yesterday's video, that there are certain countries that are saying we should only vaccinate children 12 years and older with 1 dose. Not 2, because that's where the complications and side effects come from, is the second. But let's just give them 1 dose. Well, the research now shows that from the first dose, the protection is negligible. Pretty much nothing. Okay? We do not change. After 3 weeks, it actually goes to 36%, and after 1 month, it rises to 77.5%. Okay? That's after the first dose. Now, it is research like this that actually has health experts pushing to get more booster shots out, because if people are not seeing this consistent immunity protection, yes, they could go back, they could go into the hospital, or could potentially die. Obviously, neither one is good. Another study in Sweden was actually found that handing out money to people was a good enticement for the vaccine. In Sweden, they were handing out 200 Swedish kroner, which is roughly $24 US, and that was enough to get people vaccinated. Okay? The rate people got vaccinated was actually increased by about 4% if they received some type of monetary contribution, right? Some $24. Now, here in the U.S., President Biden pushed for states send out $100 cash vouchers or cash payments to people that go and get the vaccine. Great, many people did it, but some are saying the only way to continue to vaccinate those that are holding out is to pretty much give them money. Give them money, or you have to make sure it's a mandate. Those are the only 2 options as of right now. But we'll see what happens moving forward. What I can tell you is, as I know more, I promise I'll come back on and share more. Just want to thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your Friday. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.